Hello, listeners. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or followed the Sounds of Living podcast accounts, you could find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Patreon at Sounds of Living Podcast. Any donation would be greatly appreciated to help support my journey of taking Sounds of Living around the United States. Thank you. Hello, and welcome back to Sounds of Living. I'm your host today, Alex Kellerman, and I am sitting here with my dearest friend, Eloise Wilson. Ella, say what's up.
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Have you ever been on a podcast before?
No, this is my first. Of many, hopefully.
Hell yeah. So, Ella, why don't you tell us about yourself?
I'm an English major at the U of A. I had kind of like a funny way of getting there. I started at Drake University in 2019. So then I transferred to Pima. My favorite college was Pima Community College. It rocks. And now I'm at the U of A. I have a minor in education, and next year I'm hoping to get into the Teach Arizona Master's program.
Awesome. So before we go into any of these pivotal points and the music that is associated with it, I would like you to tell everybody how we met.
The way I tell it and how you tell it are different, but I've kind of come around to your version of it more. When I transferred to the U of A, I had been home for 2 years with my family, which, as wonderful as that was, also kind of sucked. So when I got to the U of A, I was like, I don't remember how to make friends. And I was like, oh no, I need to figure that out. So I kind of just rocked on my own. I've been to new schools before where I didn't know anybody. As someone who transferred a lot, I'm used to it and I can transition fine. I was at the College of Education. I was like, who's this dude? He knows how to make friends. That's good, because that's what I'm looking to do. But I didn't know how to make you my friend. So I kind of just hung out there until you were my friend. And I like to debate you on that, but that is exactly how it happened, if we're being honest.
Sometimes you just need to be surrounded by people for a long period of time to then develop a friendship. I mean, think about all of the different people that you meet in school. Yeah. You're in a class together for a long period of time, and then you end up becoming friends with the people that you're next to or that you feel connected with. And it's crazy how it ended up working out, but
I'm really thankful for it.
Me too. Now that we have figured out who you are and what you're about, why don't you tell me more about the soundtrack to Rent and how that made you who you are?
Well, I've always been really close with my family, and it's just a really precious memory. I collect little memories, so when I was filling out the form for this, it was one of the ones that popped up. My family, we used to live in Marana, and it was a really long drive to our school because we wanted to go to a good school, and the school we went to was like 45 minutes away to like an hour away. So my mom had to keep us entertained in the car during that time and happy, and we listened to the Rent soundtrack, and it was just absolutely precious. She would play it and we'd all have little roles. I like to play Mimi, who in the musical is a stripper. So there's me like 7 just being like, out tonight. And my brother would play Angel because he had like the highest voice out of us all at the time, though he doesn't like to reprise the role these days. My mom was usually Maureen because she's kind of got the same attitude as her, though we would switch roles sometimes. I always stole her parts. And it was just something really fun that we used to do. And it was just like we just fell into it naturally. By the time I was 7, I probably knew every word to that musical. And I'm not like a musical girly, but I'm like kind of a musical girly. I was never in drama, cannot sing, cannot carry a tune. But I will try to in the shower, in the car, in my house. And I still sing with my mom sometimes. And it's just something really nice that kind of connects us. Because I know my brother won't admit it, but he knows all of Angel's parts. He 1,000% does. And I wouldn't be opposed to a little reunion tour.
So what did you think about Tick Tick Boom when that came out? Was that like you reliving your childhood in a way?
Yeah, I just kind of have a crush on Andrew Garfield. So that's most of why I watched it. I didn't even know it was about Rent. When I first started watching, I was like, ooh, Andrew Garfield. And then I actually had a really weird moment because I was watching it and there's a lot of cameos from other musicals and people that write musicals. And there was this Puerto Rican chef. He's in it for like maybe like a flash.
Yeah.
And I went, is that Lin-Manuel Miranda? And then I went, oh my God, what if it's not? And I'm just racist. It was.
Oh.
It really made me panic for a minute because I was looking at the credits and I was like, I don't see Lin-Manuel Miranda in the cast. Oh my God. But I was like, it's definitely Lin-Manuel Miranda, right? But I was like, but what if it's not? And then I have to like unpack that. It was, so it's fine. Yeah, he was really good in it. Everyone was. Philippa Sue, Andrew Garfield.
Well, I'm glad that you have such a fond memory of that soundtrack, and I think it's cool that you've been able to see like a different version of it with Andrew Garfield being the protagonist in that film, kind of reliving those childhood moments of the soundtrack.
It was always really interesting to me because when I was little, my mom, she always treated us like adults. Like, she always spoke to us like adults, and she would never lie to us, which I'm very thankful for. And so that's why we kind of watch stuff like Rent, because a lot of people hearing like a 7-year-old watch it would be like, that's not for a 7-year-old to watch. I mean, it has like AIDS, like drug use, stripping, obviously, that maybe a 7-year-old shouldn't watch. But I learned a lot about the world from it and seeing it as it is. She was really big into educating me on like queer history and the background around AIDS, which just happened to be her special interest. I always ended up knowing about it too, which made me kind of a weird kid to other kids, because I'd be like, do you guys know about AIDS? And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, do you know about Harvey Milk? And they'd be like, no. And I'd be like, do you watch Queer as Folk? It was usually always a no. I don't even think it was ever a yes.
So then, do you know how that soundtrack affected your mom and dad? Like, has it brought both of your relationships with them closer because of this?
Definitely with my mom. My dad has never been into musicals, but he's always supported my mom in it. And that's not even the only musical that we've like bonded over. It's just one of my favorites from when I was a kid. And I didn't quite understand everything that was happening when I watched it, but there were things about the characters that I liked, and I loved the idea of like found family and the strength that a lot of the women in the musical show was really compelling. And we also have like other musicals we got into. Of course, we were big Hamilton heads for a while, and I could do the rap. Don't ask me to do it. I can't do it now. But for a time, I had it locked. I could nail it.
And then what about your brother?
When he like got into his teens and stuff, he was into cars. Like, he wasn't into musicals anymore. But little Owen, oh my God, such a cutie. He's always gonna be like my little baby brother, right? And all I remember him being into was Rent. Phantom of the Opera and Wicked were more for me and my mom. And we always would sing Wicked, like the end, the song For Good. I always played Elphaba, and she'd play Glinda, and I'd always sing her part, and she'd get mad at me. So musicals have always been, especially for me and my mom, a way to like come back together.
That's good.
It's really sweet. I really like it.
I'm glad that you have that special bond over just musicals in general with your mother.
Yeah, me too.
So then you also are a huge fan of Weezer, George Harrison, the Traveling Wilburys. What exactly about them are you drawn to them for?
It's kind of funny. When I was a kid, my mom's a big music nerd, huge, and she'd push her music onto me. Like, when I woke up in the morning, if I wasn't going to wake up, she'd blast Rush at me, and I'd wake up because it's super loud. Most of my music was through her that I encountered it, so I kind of got into a rebellious phase when I was around like 12 and 13, where I was hell-bent on finding my own music that was separate from hers and was just for me, and I'll be like, oh, this is really niche, you don't know it. And it was funny because almost every time it would happen, I'd be like, have you heard of Ben Folds? I bet you haven't. You wouldn't know. It's my music. Then she'd be like, I love Ben Folds. I've seen him live. And I'd be like, great. When I was younger, it frustrated me because I felt like I couldn't have an identity of my own in this sense. But now it's kind of just shows like how much we share, and it's really nice that I found it on my own.
So it was Weezer and George Harrison that you found on your own?
She had her hand in some of it. She facilitated some of it. Weezer was kind of funny. I was very against listening to them when I was like 13 and 14 because I was like, ew, old people band. Ew, my mom likes it. And then I went to a concert with my cousin Robin, and it was a Panic at the Disco Weezer concert. And I went in really into Panic at the Disco, really like, oh, we just have to sit through Weezer. And I walked away and I was like, Weezer is everything. I love Weezer. And then I got super into them. And then my sophomore year, I was like really down. I had stopped playing tennis, which I'd played for years, and I was just feeling super lost because that was a big part of my identity. And I cry like almost every day. And one of the safe places I found was with Weezer and listening to Weezer, because it's just like the vocals are so like rough and raw, and like a lot of the emotions they discuss. It's just the tone of their music was like comforting to me. I listen to music all day, every day. There hasn't been a day I haven't listened to music in years. And it's just something that's become a way to like regulate my emotions and process them. And with George Harrison, it's also tied to a good memory. We were going on a road trip to Jerome, Arizona to stay at this haunted hotel, and it is super haunted. It's been very gentrified now as a town, so the hotel's kind of stepped away from being like, look at this haunted attraction, and now they're just trying to be an upscale hotel. But if you ever go there, it's haunted, and you should go because it's super cool.
Where's this at?
It's in Jerome. It was really fun when we went because there just wasn't a lot of young people there, and all the old people. This was before weed was legalized, and they would just drive around in their Rolls Royces. They're like the hippies that went to Woodstock kind of people. There's this guy driving in his Rolls Royce with a joint from his medical marijuana, just tapping it out in the ashtray. And it was so funny and so fun. And the hotel is scary as shit. And we have photos from it. I don't know. It's scary. It's really fun though. But on the whole drive there, my mom played her George Harrison CD, and it was the same experience like at the Weezer concert where I started listening to him. I was like, ugh, my favorite Beatles, Paul. I don't like George. And by the end I was like, I'm in love with George Harrison. I want to be his Patty Boyd, you know? I'm still absolutely over the moon about George Harrison and his music, and especially the album cover where he's coming out of the lake. Like, don't even get me started. No, there was this one song that my mom, because she likes to do this thing where she describes people with a song, and it's her way of like kind of communicating with us. So my brother has always been a song off of the album The Wall, Goodbye Blue Sky. I don't know why. I just know that a long time ago she was like, that's your brother, Ella. This song is your brother. And I was like, weird. Okay. I kind of see it.
Why?
I don't remember.
Have you listened to the lyrics?
Not in a while. I'll have to revisit it. I should have done it before. I was thinking about it. But she does it for me when I'm going through stuff. She's dropping bits of wisdom on me. It's like her way of like mothering without being like obtrusive.
So she uses music as a way to help educate and comfort you whenever you're unsure of what's going on.
Yeah, it's been my compass for a lot of my life.
Wow, that's really powerful, especially because like your mom's a big reason why you're into the music you are into.
Yeah, and I found my own music as well in the meantime, like Sybil Bayer. I love the Bleachers. I'm a big Meatski fan. When I'm having feelings, I listen to Adele.
Would you say that George Harrison's music is better with the Beatles or by himself?
By himself, for sure.
Do you have a favorite album of his? I mean, All Things Must Pass is a classic.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with it, but I didn't know if there was any other
It's
album.
more like a music video that I watched on repeat for like 2 days when I first saw it. It was by The Foundation for after he passed. They held a contest, and I think it was the San Francisco Ballet won with their video submission, and it is so beautiful, and I make people watch it.
What song?
What is Life? And the ballet dancers are so good, and they're wearing yellow, and they like kick up the dirt, and she's running through a field of graves, and it just makes you realize how fleeting life is and how much of a blessing it is. It makes you like thankful to be here.
So you think that they accurately portrayed what he was saying in that video?
Yeah, it is so poetic, and I'm obsessed with it. I still watch it, especially when I'm feeling down. It just reminds me of like what life is.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great song too.
Yeah, it's like juxtapositions of deep sadness and like incredible happiness. It reminds me that we need both to appreciate them.
You're not wrong. You're not. I know that we've kind of like jumped through those first couple points pretty quickly, but
I can go on.
I know you can, but I wanted to ask you, is there anything that you had when you were a kid that has stayed consistent musically that you still listen to today?
Not much, besides the stuff that my mom always plays in the house. Taylor Swift has been there through all of it. And I have to admit, I've been kind of slacking as a Swiftie lately. I didn't listen to a lot of the Lover album, which is like a cardinal sin. Come for me. It's okay. But her songs from when I was a kid, I still listen to. I love listening to the like most recent songs, but when I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll listen to Tied Together with a Smile.
Is that off of her first album?
I don't remember. I think it was like, oh God, I'm scared to say in case I'm wrong.
Because like I don't know that song, and I'm a Swiftie myself.
Yeah, it's like Tied Together with a Smile, and it's Coming Undone. It's early. I know that.
Okay.
And there's
was it like country Taylor, you think?
Yeah, it definitely had a little bit of a twang to it.
Yeah, I would say it's most likely off
Pre-2010.
her first album. Yeah, because I wouldn't know. I mean, we had Fearless and Speak Now and Red and 1989 re-released already, so it wouldn't be off any of those. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's off of her first album.
Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah, I don't know her first album that well because I'm not a huge country person, but whenever she re-releases it, I think that's when I'll give it a chance because, like, I don't know. It's one of those things that her ability to recreate what's already been created and make it better, like 1,000 times better, I have mad respect for it, especially because she took what had happened and how people have screwed her over left and right throughout her career and just said, okay, what do I do about it?
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't, like, I mean, like, of course it was sad and, like, difficult and
alienating.
Yeah, but there's a reason why she is where she's at now. I mean, for me, I try to carry that into everything I do, you know, staying true to myself, continuing to work hard and fight for what I believe be this important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that stuff that you also relate to?
I've always been a big romantic, so I just loved, as a little girl, her like stories like You Belong With Me. I had a crush on this kid all through elementary school and I think it's because he looked like the guy in the music video a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be me. It's so embarrassing, but I also love that part of me, that little girl. Yeah, and she's been with me throughout my whole childhood, my teen years. My mom she's freaky good at winning radio tickets to things. It's her special skill. We went to Disney 3 years in a row because she's just that good at radio tickets, and it's because she grew up and she was going to concerts in the 90s. She didn't have money, so she just got really good at winning stuff on the radio, and it's a skill I'm super jealous of. But to get to the point, she won tickets to Red, and she gave them to me for Christmas, and I lost mind. I was like, I'm going to see her for real, alive in front of me. And you know how when they say you're in love with someone, like your like knees turn to jelly and you just like you can't stand? That happened at the concert. I like fell over, and I had my stupid little flip phone taking photos. I still have it just in case I could get I don't know how I would get them, they're so blurry, but it was really magical. And I got to go with my grandma, and I love my grandma, and we were little concert buddies, and she really liked it. And I got to see the dress she wore in Love Story. I got to see all of her costume, and it was the best night ever.
So it was like your dream come true from when you were a little kid.
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
It felt incredible.
Is that how you felt when you saw her this past tour?
My legs didn't turn to jelly as much. It more felt like revisiting an old friend, which is giving parasocial, but it's just her as she's been in my life. You know, I've been very fortunate. I was able to see her on the 1989 tour, and there was a little bit of that, like a little electricity, little like goosebumps, butterflies in your stomach. And I got to go to that with my dear friend Autumn, and it was just another like wonderful memory. At the most recent one, it was more the nostalgia that I was there for than anything. It was very personal, and it had much less to do with Taylor herself, I found.
So was it more the people that were there, or just listening to the music, or like what exactly was it?
It was like the people I have been, because she's a consistent thread through all of that, from like when I was 7 years old to now. And she, especially with relationships, she always has this really uncanny way of making it feel like you're the only person in the world she's talking to. The 1989 concert, she was like really trying to empower the young women in the audience, especially because I've kind of grown up with her career. So a lot of the people that grew up as she was putting music out were at that age where they were starting to fall in love and like have partners and like go out on dates and stuff. And she was just saying something, I can't remember exactly what it was now. How I think of it is the perks of being a wallflower quote, where it's like you accept the love you think you deserve, but she was saying that you deserve to be loved. You deserve so much. Like never let someone take that from you. Do you know what I mean?
I do. That is powerful, especially becoming a woman in the society. There's a lot of pressures that you have to deal with, and to have somebody that speaks your truth and how you're feeling and what you need to listen to and what you need to hear, it is powerful. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a woman, but I can imagine that must have felt pretty damn great.
Yeah, it really, I think it struck a chord with me, because I was like, she was telling everyone, you deserve everything. You deserve everything and never be sorry. And this was before like Reputation and everything, but she has just always been so powerful. And at the same time she's been powerful and commanding as a person, she's never lost her generosity and her like kindness. I remember at the Red concert, she sang a song for a little boy in the audience who was diagnosed with cancer, and she put them in the front row and wrote him a song just for him and sang it, and it was really beautiful. And she didn't have to do that, but she did because she wanted to.
Wow, very moving. So Love, Love, Love by the Mountain Goats.
It's my latest obsession.
Tell me more.
So the Mountain Goats are kind of a band that aren't as known, I don't think. They're very like indie, and I like weird things. During COVID, I got really into this podcast. Well, I was into a lot of podcasts because I had a lot of time on my hands. But one I was really into is Welcome to Night Vale. I'm actually going to see them in January, and I'm so excited.
What's that about?
Oh, it's hard to explain. The tagline for the podcast is like if every conspiracy theory was true, but it's more postmodern. There's like absurdity to it. Like there's story arcs. It's about this radio host named Cecil who is in charge of the public radio for a town called Night Vale, and it's an incredibly unusual town. It's supernatural. There's governments for the governments. There's secret police for the secret police. It's very Lovecraftian, and it's kind of scary and funny and just very true. But I was really obsessed with that, and the creators of that show love the Mountain Goats, and that's how I heard about them, because there's this part where he goes, and now the weather. And the weather's never the weather. It's always a song, and it's songs they kind of plug. Like they always put like Eliza Rickman in. There's one from the lady that wrote Hadestown. I went to see Hadestown. It's super good, by the way. But the Mountain Goats are on there all the time, and they have another podcast called I Only Listen to the Mountain Goats, and the Mountain Goats are on it. So I've listened to some of their songs. I found the song when I was making a mixtape. A lot of their songs are, I don't even know how to explain them, but Love, 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 I thought it was a love song, and it kind of is. There's this line where it's, you do things for money or you do things for fun, but the things you do for love are going to come back to you one by one. And I've been thinking about what it means to love a lot recently, and the importance of loving yourself and saving your love for those that deserve it and investing it in people that love you back. And when you do, those things do come back to you one by one. And it's just one of the songs of the many that I listen to. I'm going to plug like Sybil Bayer. I really like Blue October. They're really good. I'm weirdly obsessed with OK Go. I love their music videos. They're so eccentric and complicated. They just seem like regular dudes. They're the ones that did that music video on the treadmills, and they always just outdo themselves. I like Vashti Bunyan, which sounds like a made-up name, but she has some great songs too.
So what's been the biggest life lesson that you've learned from Love, 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 other than to love yourself?
I've actually got it written down right here, but it's to never let anyone else's voice be louder than your own, because when it becomes louder than your own, it's like you're betraying yourself. And I think it's really important to be true to yourself and to listen to what you actually want. And it's not selfish.
Thank you for all of those wonderful points that you wanted to share with us today. I think it's important that we all have those songs that make us feel loved and want to be loved by the people that love us for who we are.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. I'm really happy for you too.
Well, is there anything else that you want to say, Ella?
No.
No?
That's all. Well, I don't know if you want the answer to that question, because of course there is. But I'll keep it short for now.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on to Sounds of Living.
Thanks for having me.
And to wherever you are, I wish you happiness and good health. I will see you next episode.